I saw the first trailers and sneak peeks of Homestead, I knew that as a prepping person, I was like, gonna have to go see this movie. They did a really good job, just even in the original trailers, just setting a good vibe for what would be the feel for a real life situation like that. You know, when you see the burning barn and it's got hoarders on it, then you know you're talking about marauders and people attacking other people who were prepared. And it turned out that it was written. It's from a story by Jeff Kirkham, Black Autumn, the book series, and I have those books. I haven't read all of them, but after watching Homestead, I'm gonna delve into that. I just hadn't got around to actually reading it. And so the movie starts off as, without giving too many spoilers, there's a terrorist attack, and it ends up being a nuke off the coast of California, and pretty much LA ends up being the hit on that. And it shows various people in their situation and how they react to that, and their bug out process, and the questionable things that a person would not want to do but have to end up doing, or have to make the decision whether to compromise their morals or not. And it does a good job of bringing those moral conundrums to you in that movie, of where you're like, what would I actually do? And I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as possible, but the elements that they bring together is desperate people, scared people, bugging out. Some of them are bugging in. A prepared encampment. There's people moderately trained, and then there's people that show up that are elite trained. So there ends up being a sort of amalgamation of two different quality of fighting forces there. You have the elements of the hungry people outside the gate that are friends, and just loose associates, even people from church, things like that, and just the crunch of resources. Like, they do a good job of showing that that's going to be a reality in that situation. That there'll be mistakes made, even in like showing people running guard duty, and even the mistakes that could be made in that are things that a person would regret. There's so much that goes into what they did with this that matches what would happen in a real life scenario. You've got the bootlicking, jackboot thugged bureaucrats that want to, and this is a quote, equitably distribute a prepared encampment's ammunition and all their resources, and try to weaponize the local police to do that by using zoning ordinances and stuff, basically in the middle of a collapse of what would be the government. The government people still trying to assert their authority when their authority is vanishing, and whether they accept it or know it doesn't matter. They did a great job of bringing all those conundrums together, and it ended up being at the start of a series. This movie is 2 hours long, and you're going to be surprised how it ends up, but there's more to the story, which I think is pretty awesome. So much so, I'm willing to chase down the other half of the story on the streaming service, Angel Studios. I think it's pretty cool. No, I'm not getting paid. You can tell by the quality of this video of me standing in my shed with various unorganized tools. I'm not being paid to say this. I think it's a good movie, and it does a good job of painting desperation and panic, even in people who are supposed to be prepared. There's just a really good dynamic that they bring with the different interpersonal relationships and things that happen, and it does a good job of just showing the regrettable things that you might run upon in that situation. I would highly recommend people go see this movie, especially if you're a prepping-minded person, and if you're not, you should probably go see it even more so. It brings in some elements of Christianity in it. It's a faith-based Christian studio, and I'm not super big into Christian cinema, for sure. I'm not a a courageous fan. I wasn't a fan of Fireproof or stuff like the Omega Code. I feel like most Christian cinema is the drizzling craps. This is a standout thing that I think is excellent. And I even had a buddy that did some consulting on this movie for some stuff. Jehodek Maccabeus, he runs Maccabeus Everyday Survival YouTube channel. You should go check him out. He's a good dude. One of the things that I think was really good that they did with this movie is bring up the idea that people are a resource. You're going to have to find a way, and that's a quote from my brother Mac, by the way. You're going to have to find a way to work within your community and use people as a resource and draw on people's strengths to actually make it. To the best of your abilities as a prepared person or an encampment if things went on, you're going to have to find a way to live peaceably with your neighbor, and in general, that doesn't involve letting them starve to death. So there's that overarching theme of what are you going to do with desperate people who you know waiting for you to make the decision to either help or to tell them you don't have the ability to, or that type of thing. It really draws that to a head. And I think it's going to be one of them things where it's not always going to be cut and dry how you handle that. Even the way that they deal with it in the movie, you're not going to be able to handle it that way every single time. It's going to be a case-by-case basis. And with the faith-based side of it, I'll even go as far as to say that you're going to have to depend on God for discernment in that moment with situations like that. And so without delving too much into the story, me and Modern Frontiermen later will be doing that together in whether it's a joint video or a live we do, and I'll post that later below this, where we will get into spoiler stuff, but I wanted to keep this vague so that I didn't just ruin this if you're wanting to go see it and haven't seen it. So definitely highly recommend it. I'm totally going to buy it when it comes out. Freaking awesome movie. But you have to take all of it with a grain of salt in the sense that not every solution they show in the movie is going to be applicable to your situation, as there are varying degrees of human beings that you would want to be in your camp, shall we say. But Modern Frontierman and I will be doing a video together talking about the morality of some of these conundrums and situations, and that will include spoilers and things like that. So check that video out. If it's linked below, should be pretty soon. But as of this recording and the releasing of it, it won't be quite out yet. Go check it out. I think you're going to like it. And leave a comment. Subscribe if you like preparedness type stuff, Minuteman type content, guns, knives, bushcraft, that type of thing. That's what this channel's about. You know, I'm a prepared-minded person, and as one person who their lifestyle is about being ready for a situation like that, I think it did a great job, and I hope that they have success with the series and it ends up being a longer thing. But also a caveat that if you're looking for American Sniper Jesus Edition, this isn't going to be it, but it's still an awesome movie.